But great. Well, let's go ahead and get started. So this is our how to pass a prop firm challenge and how to grow a small account class. We'll talk about both topics today. We did have a couple of companies, prop firm review companies that we'll look at today. Appreciate it when each one of you gives me a couple of companies to look at. It's always kind of a fun thing for me to kind of review each company. There's a lot of details about each company, so we probably won't cover every single detail or rule or program that every company has to offer, but we'll go over some of the basics, which I think will be great. So we'll review a couple of companies today, and we will go over just generally how to pass a prop firm challenge. We'll help you guys understand what a prop firm challenge is, the motivations and incentives behind prop firm companies so that you can better understand whether or not it's something that you would like to participate in. Very important um, to know if it's even something that you should even do. Okay. So this will be a good, pretty good call today. But before we get started, as always, I need to remind you guys about the risks involved in the market. You can lose all or more than your initial investment if you're not careful. So please be aware of how many pips you're risking on each trade, in addition to how big your lot size is, and ultimately how that would affect your account if you were to lose money. So make sure that you're going through that process each and every time that you take a trade. All right, guys, well, let's jump into this. So first, what we're going to do is talk about what prop firms are, and like I said, how they work, what they do, how you can use them, and then we'll go into later the different prop firms that we're going to review tonight. Specifically, we're going to review Tiger Funding or Tiger Funded. I can't remember the exact name, and then Funding Traders is, I believe, the other company that we're going to be looking at tonight. So this will be really good. Okay, so let's talk about what prop firms are. So prop firms, I guess their larger name is called proprietary trading firms, and they fulfill I guess a problem in the industry. So one of the big things that I recognize when I run into people who are interested in trading, I meet people all over the country and all over the world essentially every day. People who are interested in trading, and one of the biggest objections I get from people is, "Hey, look, I'd love to learn how to trade, but I can't trade because even if I knew how to trade, I wouldn't be able to scale it and make any serious money with trading because like with most things, you have to have money to make money, right? So if you don't have the money, a lot of people just are like, you know what, I might as well not even try, right? And it's a tough challenge because it is, I mean, if you try to grow from nothing, it takes a long time. You're basically nothing for a long time. And then, um, after a while, you finally start to trade with some bigger money over time. But you kind of have to toil for some years if you're going to just start with your own money, and you have to kind of learn from trial and error, um, in the beginning, if you're going to just try to grow your own capital. And everybody kind of had to start that way. Some people still start that way. I mean, I still do that with my own money. I grow small accounts into big accounts. And it takes a lot of time, a lot of risks sometimes is involved. But the cool thing about prop firms is that these companies, what they do is they provide an opportunity to a trader like yourself or myself, and we can apply through what's called a challenge, a prop firm challenge or audition. And essentially, what you're doing is you're trying to prove to the prop firm that you're a successful trader. So you'll take your strategy or whatever trading method that you're taking with you, and you'll actually be given a privileges to a trading account, whether that's $50,000, 100,000, 200,000. Some prop firms do challenges as low as I think $5,000. There's other prop firms that do challenges in the millions of dollars, right? I think pretty commonly most people opt into like a 50,000, 100,000, or $200,000 account is pretty common, sometimes the 300. And the reason why people usually go to that number is because that's usually kind of the magic number to have. If you have a low six figure trading account, um, that's usually with most types of trading strategies out there, you're able to potentially build a full-time income. If the average salary is like 60 or 75,000 a year. Most people would be able to do that with 100 grand or 200 grand or 300 grand in their account, depending on their strategy and things like that. Um, so yeah, so that's kind of the magic number is to get an account like that. And so what these guys do is they give you an account, they give you a set of rules, which we're going to talk about in just a second. And then if you can prove that you're a successful trader and pass their audition or their challenge, then you become a funded trader and you can keep anywhere between, I've seen it as low as like 70% and as high as 100%. In fact, one of the companies we'll look at today does 100% payouts, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So we'll talk about the pros and cons of that. But let's jump into this. So kind of moving quickly on here. So here's the general rules of prop firms. Now you don't want to just stop here. These are just general rules. A lot of people think that they can just sign up for a prop firm challenge and just be okay with like, okay, as long as I know the general rules, I'll be okay. Sometimes prop firms will try to nail you on certain rules. Like this morning, we talked about how some prop firms have rules on news events. And if you're not aware, if your prop firm allows news events and you start to trade through news, you can get nailed with that and potentially lose your account, or you might just lose out on the trades that won if you happened to have made money during that news event, right? So these are things that we got to really pay attention to when we're trading with the prop firm. Now, I skipped a topic real quick that I really wanted to bring up. I try to bring it up in every one of these calls that I do once a month. So, and it's the incentives of a prop firm. So a lot of people ask this question. They're like, why would a prop firm even want to do this? So every prop firm has different motivations, but many of the motivations are the same. And so let's talk about why somebody would offer this solution to traders, right? Obviously, it's great for us because if we can pass the challenge, all of a sudden we have privileges to trade a six-figure trading account and we get to keep 70 to 100% of the profits. That's great news for us. So what's in it for the prop firm? Because obviously there's no free lunch, right? Like everybody has their own incentives and motivations, right? So what's in it for them? So prop firms make money in a couple of ways depending on the prop firm. Every single prop firm makes money from audition fees, though. There's no doubt about that. There's no prop firm out there that I'm aware of that does not make money through their audition fees. So, providing this service, obviously, it's a very valuable service. A lot of people feel captive to this service because it's like, for many, it's like the only way that they feel that they can grow their own account. Um, at least quickly. You can, if you're a good trader and you have a good system, you can kind of go zero to hero very quickly. If you can get your hands on like 100 grand or 200 grand or three or 400 grand, you can go zero to hero very quickly. From it's so long as you've got your rules down and you're unemotional about things, like you could actually make a extreme amount of money very quickly. I've seen it happen with myself. I've seen it happen with other people. You can get massive payouts in the five figures monthly from basically nothing. So it is a very valuable thing. Obviously, it's very enticing. But the thing that a lot of people don't share, and I do want to share this tonight, is that most people don't pass these challenges. We're going to talk about the rules. So I wanted to just kind of finish up on the motivations of prop firms, and then we'll jump into the rules a little bit more. But basically, prop firms, every single prop firm makes money from the audition fees. So what does an audition fee cost? So most what I've seen, just kind of like the general industry charges, like for every 100 grand that you want to apply for, it's about $500. So if you want to get a 100 grand account, you're going to be paying somewhere close to 500. Could be less, could be more, depending on the prop firm, promotions, things like that. Okay. So if you want 200 grand, you're going to be paying like $1,000, right? If you want a $500,000 account, you're going to be paying 2,000 or 2,500, something like that. If you just want a 50 grand account, you're probably going to pay 250 or 300. That's kind of the general cost, right? So, so they make, and if you don't pass, here's the thing, if you don't pass your challenge, like if you fail, if you break their rules as you're auditioning, you will in fact lose privileges to that account and you're no longer a client. You've failed. It's a really tough feeling when that happens. Like many people here, perhaps if you've been doing prop firms for a while, you've probably failed challenges. I've failed dozens of challenges. I've also passed dozens of challenges. So that may be surprising to people like, hey, why does Steve fail challenges? Well, just because I apply for challenges all the time. So I'm constantly um, it's like some companies I'm trying to pass their challenge very quickly. I have some different strategies that I use to try to pass like right away, just so that I can pass. In fact, I actually have this system that I use to pass challenges. You're not technically supposed to do this, but like they never know. But basically, like I'll sign up for one prop firm with one company, and I'll sign up for another platform with another company. And so they're totally separate businesses. And like I'll go short in one account and then long in the other account. One is super going to fail. Like one is totally going to lose its shirt and you're just going to lose the money. And then the other account, um, you're going to make, you're going to pass your challenge or whatever. Right. So I've done that kind of stuff. And so I was already planning on failing that challenge in the first place, and then passing in this other. Right. So I've done stuff like that. Um, just to expedite the process of passing a challenge. So, but I don't necessarily recommend that. If you are interested in that type of thing, I can share the pros and cons of that. But I've done some really acrobatic stuff with prop firms in the past, to just kind of work the numbers and get it to work. Anyways, I didn't want to go too deep into that. What I'm saying is, if you fail a challenge, you lose your fee, and there's no recourse. Okay. Let's see what else was going to say about that. Okay, so these guys make a lot of money. So for example, I've shared this before, so I'm sure there's people that remember this. I'm curious to see if somebody can participate and tell me. So, FTMO is one of the biggest prop firms. They no longer service U.S. clients, but well, I guess I mean I still am an FTMO client because I still have an account with them. Actually, I have a couple of accounts with FTMO. But if like FTMO last year, they brought in 400, yeah, I can't remember the exact number, but it's in the $400 million in prop firm audition fees. Okay, it's a big chunk of money. That's strangely like a $500 million. Okay, so they brought in nearly a $500 million in prop firm audition fees in 2023. Does anybody know here? I've shared this number before, so I'm curious to see if anybody knows this number. How much did FTMO pay last year in payouts to their traders? Okay, what did they yeah, yeah, so yeah, cool. So Stanford got it. Yeah, it's 30 million. So they paid like between 29 and 30 million dollars to their traders last year. Is a lot of money. Like they paid a lot of money to their traders. But when you think about how much money they brought in through audition fees, like it's absurd. Okay, so $400 million they brought in, nearly a $500 million. They paid 30 million out. So um like these guys do not struggle for money. Like they do really well. Um, and um, a lot of prop firms. So this is another thing that's really important to know. A lot of prop firms, when you get funded, don't fund you with real money. They actually give you what they call a funded account, like it's an actual, they call it funded, and they will pay you if they're a good prop firm. They will pay you on the money that you make with the profits that you generate each month. They'll actually pay you out, but they actually will pay you from other traders who have failed challenges. Okay, so if I go out there and fail a challenge, but you pass and you make money with one of our strategies and you get a payout, um, they'll actually pull money out of their audition fee account, the revenue that they've made there, to in fact pay you for the profits that you've made. So they're often banking on the fact that most traders will fail. Most traders also who get funded will often lose their funded accounts by their own means, just because they break the rules. So these companies will really watch you as you trade. Now, some companies will fund you with real money. Um, they're not very common. It's more common to follow the model of funding people with demos. So For some people that might be very surprising that that's how the industry works, but that is in fact how it works. And so if that is something that concerns you, that model, you may want to reconsider the entire process of even using prop firms. Some people just don't even want to touch it. All I'm doing today is I'm just a messenger. I'm just trying to tell you that that's what they do and that's how their process works. And so if you think about it from their perspective, many prop firms would prefer that you just fail over time and that they'll just collect your prop firm fee. So because of that, that's just something to be aware of that they're often just waiting for you to, you know, mess up along the way. They're not like me where, I want you to succeed and I have every incentive to help you become a successful trader. That's not necessarily what they're trying to do. They're just trying to make a dollar or two from providing a service that obviously could be very useful. I will say here from my experience, I have been paid out many, many times by prop firms every month. Essentially every month I've been paid out by prop firms with different strategies that I use in different accounts. They're very valuable. I can tell you that many companies do pay. And so to me, it's been an overall good experience. Because I run a business, when I pay for a prop firm challenge, I can write off like if I fail a challenge, which I like I said, I pass and fail challenges all the time. I write off those business expenses because it's a business expense to be able to do that. So because I run it, obviously talk to your tax guy first, but I'm just telling you how I do it. So, I'm able to run write-offs with that. So that's kind of a nice thing. Um, and then obviously it's considered like a capital gain, at least the way I'm doing it. It's like considered a capital gain with the um, payouts that I get. So all right, so there you go. So that's their incentive. There are companies in the past, like I'll give you an example. So there was a company. Many of you guys know who they are. It's MyForex Funds last year. They were kind of like the Ethereum of prop firms, right? Like they were definitely in second place, like behind FTMO. They were clearly the second best company. And then just out of the blue in September, like the first week of September, we all got a message saying that MyForex Funds had uh, basically gone out of business. There wasn't a lot of information. We found out that they were being litigated for several different things in the United States, and so they just stopped operating, and they've never come back. And it looks like they're not coming back, right? So, um, at the time I had a funded account with these guys. I had like 10 or $13,000 that I was waiting to get paid out on. And I was actually about to request payout on that 10 or $13,000, but then they went out of business. And so I ended up not getting that 10 or $13,000 that I had made. And this account had also just gotten funded not long ago. And so, I went through the whole process of getting funded, did everything and even built payouts, got to the point to get to the payout, and then my dreams were demolished by them going out of business and being litigated, right? So this is like real stuff, like real emotions. This kind of stuff happens, and it will drive you crazy if you're not like mentally prepared for this. Now, this is also one I'm just going to share real quick while I'm thinking about it. This is another reason why I don't tell people, like, if you have a budget for prop firms, let's say you've put aside $1,000 and that's all you can afford. A lot of people are like, well, that's just enough for a 200K account. I personally don't think you should go out and buy a 200K account if that's all you can afford. I think I'd rather have you go get like 450K accounts at different companies or 200K accounts at different companies. The reason why is because if one does go out of business or stops operating or for some reason doesn't pay you out, it's not a whole loss because maybe you have another prop firm account that is passed, it is funded, and you're getting a payout. Even if it's just on a 50K account, you're still getting a payout, right? So I'd much rather have you do that. Plus, by the way, you'll also trade better. if you don't have the pressure of having all of your, like if all your funds are tied up in one prop firm and it's a 200K account, you won't trade as well if you're basically expecting that one account to make all your hopes and dreams come true, right? Like it just doesn't work that way, right? Um, so anyway, just wanted to just another just pro tip there that I think would really help you guys when you're trying to figure out if you're going to use prop firms. I think it's really smart to spread your eggs around at different companies, because you never know who's doing well, who's not doing well. Everybody thought My Forex Funds was doing great. They looked like they were maybe even going to surpass FTMO because of their popularity. Popularity. They had really great rules. Everything was looking good for them, and then just went out, and nobody saw it coming, right? So, and no one's going to tell you, like from the inside out, that like they're not going to tell you. By the way, just so you know, like we're not doing very good over here. They're not going to do that. In fact, they're going to probably look really good when they go out because they have to raise funds and all that kind of stuff. So that's just my experience is that you've got to spread it out because you never know. This industry is still pretty new. Prop firms have basically been a thing for like 10 years. So it's still kind of a newer thing, and really they've just come alive over the last 3 to 4 years. And there's new prop firms coming out every month. There's new prop firms. In fact, we don't even have enough time to review every single prop firm because there's new prop firms all the time. It's kind of crazy. Um, um, so okay, cool. So anyway, let's go. So I think this is a good point right here to kind of transfer and talk about the rules. Okay, so let's talk about general rules. Let's talk about specific rules that you should watch out for when you're jumping into a prop firm challenge. So most prop firms have like what's called a 1 or 2 phase challenge. Some places call it a different type of thing. I've noticed a lot of companies, they don't call it 1 phase or 2 phase. They call it something like, beginner's novice trader challenge, advanced trader challenge, master trader challenge, right? And you have to kind of know what that is. And I basically have to click into each company's different challenges. And I just try to find the one that says 2 phase. I like 2 phase challenges versus 1 phase challenges. The reason why I like 2 phase is because it requires me to be a better trader, but I don't usually have to pay as much. A lot of people like to opt into 1 phase challenges because you can typically get funded faster, but the rules are usually not as good or in your favor. So I would rather um, pay for rules that are better for my trading style, and I'd rather show the company that I'm good at trading rather than overpaying for a prop firm challenge. Okay, so that's another little pro tip there. That's why I usually have people do 2 phase challenges because, yes, it may require a little bit more trading, but usually those are the challenges with the best types of rules. Okay, so these are the general rules. Again, this is not every rule out there, but that basically this is the concept. So every account usually has a 10% drawdown. So you can't lose more than 10% of your account. This is on all phases, like phase one, phase two. And then phase three is an actual funded trader. Okay. And they all have the same rules for the most part. You can't lose more than 5% of your account in a day. So you got to be mindful of that. Like if you trade multiple strategies in one account, if you lost more than 5% in a day, even though you have a max of 10% drawdown, you could potentially, not potentially, but you would in fact lose the account if you lost over 5% in a day. Very important thing to be aware of. This is not usually an issue with things like the overnight trading strategy. This is usually not an issue with the weekly trades. This is not an issue with our price action trades unless you're trading like all three strategies at the same time. And let's say, I mean, it would have to be a strange like a crazy amount of events going on. You'd have to probably um, like everything would have to lose at the same time for that to happen. So that's another little pro tip here. I usually think it's a best practice to trade just one strategy in one account. If you want to trade multiple strategies, I suggest that you have different prop firms accounts for different strategies just to keep things separated and so as to not mess with your leverage or liquidity maintenance, all that kind of stuff. I think it's good to have different strategies for every account that you trade. Okay. Most companies require that you trade for a minimum of 5 days. Um, you usually have to make a 10 or 8 to 10% return in phase one. or a 5% return in phase two. Once you've made that 10% in phase one and 5% in phase two without breaking any of those rules, you're then what's called a funded trader. So you would be funded at that point. So really, really exciting. Okay, guys, let's review a couple of companies. So this is Tiger Funded. This is a very, very new company. They have been around since February of 2024. Um, I'd never heard of these guys. It was just a recommendation that came in today, and so I thought we would give them a quick look. And they are on Trustpilot. They have 175 reviews, which, if you know a lot about prop firms, that's not a lot of reviews for prop firms. Although their reviews are pretty amazing to be at 4.9 out of 5 stars. I will say that most of their reviews have come in the last month, and many have even just come this week. So, in fact, I'm just going to search that real quick. Funding, Tiger funded Trust Pilot. Here they are. Let's go check this out. So here's their Trust Pilot, and you can see, yeah, they don't have a lot of bad reviews. It's mostly positive, which is great so far. I mean, that's always a good thing. This was 4 hours ago, 5 hours ago, a day ago, 4 hours ago, a day, 2 days ago. Like most of these are pretty recent. And then, um, um, just yeah, like you go to like page 9 and it takes you to May of this year. The oldest review I could find was like February of this year. And so they've been around, I believe, since January or February. It's one of those 2 months. I can't find exact. In fact, they're so new, I can't find a lot of information on where they're located or even like how long they've been around. Based off of my what I've been able to find, they've been around for just, this year. Which, by the way, is pretty common. A lot of people are like, wow, why would you trust a company that's been around for just a year? In this industry, being around for a year is actually kind of old. Crazy, right? No, it's not that old. It's just like average. A lot of companies just come and go, and so that's why I don't know how much stock I'd put in these because some companies are brand new and they pay out great and they love their customers and they pay and everything's great. And then you have some companies like MyForks Funds that have been around for years and then all of a sudden they're gone in a heartbeat. So it's a tough, you never know. Okay, so these guys, some of the things that they like boast on their front page is they talk about how they have guaranteed payouts. They have a 95% um, profit split, which is amazing. Trade your style. So, as far as I could find, they don't have a lot of rules on what you can and cannot trade, which is great. I hate it when companies come up to you. I've had this happen to me many times where companies will come up to me and they'll be like, "Hey, so Steve, you traded this strategy and we don't like the way you traded, and it's happened to me a few times and it's never fun because you're like, that's my style. I made this money. What's wrong? And so it's great that they're kind of advertising themselves that way because that tells me like, okay, good, they're um, allowing you to trade your way. No time limit. That's pretty common now. It used to not be. I mean, like back, like even just a year ago, a lot of companies would, like FTMO, they'd give you 30 days to pass phase one and 60 days to pass phase two. And so you had to pass quickly. That's not the case anymore. Pretty much every company allows you unlimited time to pass. They really do have the world's lowest prices. I was looking at some of their funded accounts. They are super cheap. Like some of their 100 grand accounts are $300 or something like that. Their 200 grand accounts are 600 something. Um, that's without a promo code, by the way. That's full price is that low. So I don't know how they're doing it, but they're doing it. So at least, that's good. We'll see how long that lasts. 12% drawdown. This is amazing. So most companies will give you a 10% max drawdown. So to have a 12% drawdown is awesome. By the way, I'll just say this is one of the things I look for when I'm looking for a company to go with. Um, if I see them being a little bit more lenient on the drawdown, to me, that's something that a dirty prop firm would not give you. Okay. I've noticed, generally speaking, that prop firms that give you bigger drawdown incentive, like they just say, hey, here's a bigger drawdown, go ahead and trade your way. Uh, that's awesome. Because a lot of companies try to get you on the drawdown because they know that that's probably the point where you're likely to fail first is at your drawdown. And so they try to weaken your knees at that point. And so the fact that they're not doing that is a good sign, at least up front. Again, I've never, the little disclaimer here, I've never tried using these guys, but it is good to see. They do offer 1 and 2 steps challenges. They're US resident accepted, which that's kind of a new thing. It used to be that all prop firms would allow US clients. Um, some prop firms like FTMO no longer do that. But these guys do allow people from the United States to join their program. Unlimited trading days, like we talked about, they don't charge a commission, which is great. They allow news and EAs, which is awesome. They have very low fees. Um, One of their cons is they only have the match trader platform. That's not necessarily to me, that's not like a deal breaker because I've used match trader and it's not that difficult to use. Um, if you need help with it, I'd be more than happy to help you with it. But they don't have any other platform outside of Match Trader. Like they don't have DX trade option. They don't have a C trader, as far as I'm aware. And they also don't have what's the other? That's the fourth one. I'm trying to remember the other one. But anyway, yeah, they're a very new company, not a lot of reviews. And like I said, a lot of the reviews are just from the last month. So they're definitely gaining a lot of popularity, which could be a good sign. I hope it's a long lasting thing. I hope these guys, if they are legitimate, that I hope they continue. That's usually how things work in this industry. The best guys will rise to the top and the people who actually pay out their traders will rise to the top and those that don't won't. So, hopefully these guys continue to do well if they are actually helping their traders. Um, okay, cool. Let's move on to the next one. Any questions about Tiger Funded before we move along here? Um, awesome. Yeah, I don't see any questions there. Um, Oh, dang. And I saw this. Let me read this. So, Stanford, this is about the FTMO from earlier. So, approximately 1 to 16 ratio payouts to total fees collected. Yeah, it's crazy. So with FTMO, they're taking in 16 times more funds from audition fees than the amount that they're paying out. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And then Mohammed said, one thing that I noticed is how that breached account email is ready to go within seconds, but if you pass, it takes hours to get the congratulations email. Yep, yeah, it does take a while sometimes to get those emails. Um, it's hard. Like when I get a a breached challenge that fails, it's not a fun email. Like you get like that pit in your stomach feeling, and it's not fun. But at the same time, like for me, it's different now because I'm applying for challenges all the time. I'm trying to do sneaky things to pass the challenge quickly. And so I'm passing quickly. I'm also failing quickly with a lot of the things that I do. So I'm not really invested into just one account. But earlier, like I would say a year and a half ago, when I was first getting into prop firms, maybe 2 years ago, actually, when I started doing it, my first challenge, I failed obviously with FTMO. I only had 30 days to pass, and I wasn't following my rules. It's a death spiral with those types of challenges when you only have 30 days to do it. Um, because after 2 weeks, I realized that I was getting too far behind. So I had to basically overhaul the whole system to pass. Yeah, it wasn't fun. So but yeah, you get that breached email and it's not fun because you're like, man, I put so much effort into this. I thought this was my way. I thought this was gonna work, and then it doesn't. It's totally not fun. But you keep trying, you come back and you get better at what you do. And instead of looking at it and being like blaming everybody, you just kind of you self-evaluate like, okay, what can I do differently? Because there's a way, right? There's absolutely a way. There's always a way to solution and get the result that you want. You just have to do things differently until you get something that works. So, all right, guys, let's talk about funding traders. Um, so I didn't have a ton of time. I was trying to put this together. I do apologize. I thought maybe we'd spend more time on their website because I didn't have a lot of time to dive into all their rules. So I do apologize that I didn't put a lot of info here, but we'll definitely dive into their site. This is a little bit of a bigger company, so Funding Traders. I don't know exactly how long they've been around, but they do have quite a few. They have a lot more reviews, 1,300 reviews. Um, Only 4.5 out of 5 stars. So that tells me that there's probably a handful of 1 stars in there. We might actually go look at some of those 1 star reviews. We'll also look at some of their 5 star reviews. But they're pretty straightforward firm. From what I could see when I was going through it, they have no time limit. This is interesting. They do 100% profit split, which is crazy because that means they're paying you 100% of what you make, which that's kind of crazy because guaranteed they're paying you with prop firm audition fees, because why else would they be incentivized to give you 100% of the profits unless it were that way? So this is more of a sales pitch from them to you, which is why they do 100% profit split. They do 7-day payouts, which is great. So that means you can get paid out quickly as soon as you're funded. They do have a really big promotion right now going on. They do 30% off their challenges. They don't charge commissions, which is cool on their trades. Their fees are higher, so they're not the cheapest prop firm. Like their 100K account, if I recall, on the two-phase challenge is over $600, which is a lot for a 100K challenge. So a little bit more expensive. They also have this rule that I don't see with a lot of other firms, but they have this max loss per trade rule. So you cannot lose more than 2% on a single trade. So they have the normal 10% max drawdown. They have the normal 5% daily drawdown, and then they have a third thing, which is this. They don't allow you to lose more than 2% on a single trade. Okay, so usually that's fine for you and me. Like even the overnight strategy doesn't go over 2%. Um, we never take a trade over 2%. Max, we don't do that with the weekly trades. We don't do that with like anything with the price actions. Shouldn't be an issue if you're using a lot size calculator, but I just wanted you to know that that is one downside because if you accidentally make a mistake, there's probably not a lot of forgiveness there if they catch you taking a loss bigger than 2% on a single trade. Um, I think that's a bigger problem to people who aren't really motivated to use a lot size calculator. I've been in other groups in the past. I used to work at another company that taught trading. I feel like our program is probably the most on top of the lot size calculator. We use it so much every time we take a trade, we're using the position size calculator. I think it's a mandatory thing. Like I've made it a mandatory thing in my own trading, especially like with the overnight strategy, since you're changing your lot size up each day depending on how the market performed the previous day. You kind of have to use one in order to get the lot size that's required to make money on those trades, right? Same thing with the weekly trades. You gotta utilize that position size calculator, right? Okay, so let's jump into their website. I think I have it right here. This is them. Yes. So their guy in charge, he's from New York, or he has a big career, had a big career in New York. Um, on Wall Street. Let's go. Their website is kind of nice. They have a Discord, they have a Telegram channel, which is great. So you can join their Telegram, you can join their Discord, which to be part of their community, which is cool. I love it when prop firms have communities. It's great to be able to connect with other traders who are also going through challenges and auditions at different companies. Um, let's go to their homepage and let's look at this. Looks like they have an app from the looks of that. I don't know if that's what that means, but looks like they may have an app, which is cool. Um, and let's see, let's go find their challenges. Trader funding, prop trading, get funded today. Oh, it's going to make me log into their website. Okay. Prop firm. Let's try this. Top prop trading firm. Um, I had it somewhere. I was on their website and I found, oh, maybe it's this. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here it is. There's their homepage. Okay, so the biggest thing that they advertise, I always like to see what's on their front page, like what's their big selling point. Um, and their first selling point is no time limits, and I'm like, okay, cool. So you're like everybody else, right? Um, 100% profit split. That's honestly what they probably should lead with is 100 because I've never seen that. I've never seen somebody do a 100% profit split. But right off the bat, that tells you that they're funding you with fake demo money, which again, that's not necessarily a deal breaker for me, but it is something to be aware of. They do 7 day payouts, which is cool. We talked about that. Here, here are their challenges. So they do a 1 step and a 2 step challenge. It looks like they're kind of pushing their 2 step first, which is what I usually prefer. Here's the 100K account. So you got to do a profit target of 10% and then 5% in phase two. So you have to make 10 grand and then 5 grand. Not too bad. That's pretty normal. Daily drawdown of 5%, normal. Max drawdown um, is, um, oh, cool. I didn't realize this. My bad. I put this on the other page. I got to change this. So I put relative based drawdown. Nope. That's actually a pro. They are a static base drawdown. I am so sorry. I misled you guys. Static base drawdown. I just saw that right there. That is cool. So this is actually one of the biggest things I look for when I'm evaluating a prop firm. Many of you guys know this. If I see static or balance based drawdown, that gets me really excited about the prop firm. Here's why. So drawdowns are different. They're not created equal, okay, at different companies. So you have what's called a relative drawdown or the balance-based drawdown, which is also known as static drawdown. Okay, so basically, um, relative base is basically like this. Let's say you have a 100K account and you make 10 grand. If you make 10 grand on a 100K account, that means you made 10%. If your max drawdown was 10% to begin with, that means you could go down to 90 grand from your baseline at 100. And you would not fail so long as you didn't go below 90. Now, if you have a relative based drawdown on a prop firm and you make 10 grand, so now your account is worth 110,000, your drawdown is max at your baseline. So if you went below 100 grand, let's say you had a losing period, you lost some trades, maybe you hit bust on your overnight trades at some point, or I don't know, just anything could happen. Like you just lose money, right? It just happens. Okay. And you go below your baseline on a relative base drawdown challenge, you would lose that account because um because it's relative. It's relative to how the market. So it's like a trailing stop. It's a trailing stop loss, but for your drawdown. It trails as you make money. So as you make money, that drawdown is creeping up closer to you. I mean, it's still keeping that 10% difference, but if you start to lose money from your highest point, it just stays stationary right there from the highest point that it got to. And then as you start to go backwards, now you're starting to lose that way. So that is a relative. Now, static is different. Static is like balance based drawdown. So with this one, it works like this. Say you have a 100 grand account and you make 10 grand. Now you could lose up to $20,000. You could have a super bad losing streak and still keep your account, right? Let's say you make 10 grand and you lose 15. That's 15% of your account basically. Okay. You're still $5,000 above your max drawdown. Okay. That's what's cool. So this is really good. And here's what I was going to say on this. So I like to see that. I'm not necessarily advocating for this company, but I will say that when I'm evaluating a company to go with, if I see that, to me, they're trying to help you. Okay. I don't know if they are intentionally trying to help you or if they're just trying to sell it to you or whatever. To me, that's awesome because that to me that says if I have a losing streak, there's a lot more forgiveness there, especially if after I've made, a lot of people make money in the beginning, maybe they have a little pullback with their prop firm challenge. You're okay. Like it's not a big deal if that happens to you. So I really like to see that kind of thing. Um, yeah, yeah, just I'll just point that out that that's one of the biggest things that help you kind of see into the nature of what that prop firm's all about. And to me, that's a really good thing. Okay, so they do 100% profit split. We talked about that. They do 14 or 7 day payouts. My guess is you can probably pick between those at checkout. There's probably a price difference between the two. I haven't checked though. Um, they do allow news trading, which, by the way, we talked about this morning. You do need to have a trading account that allows news trading. You may not think that you're a news trader, but most of us are news traders, whether we realize it or not. Here's why. If for most prop firms, the general rule with news trading is if you open or close a trade within 3 minutes before or after the red news event coming out, and sometimes it's the yellow envelopes or the orange envelopes too. It could be really any news event, and there's news events practically all day on every currency pair. So, um, if you happen to have a overnight trade or a weekly trade that hits a take profit or a stop loss within that 6 minute window, you would I don't know if you'd fail the challenge, but it would be, at least with some companies, they call it a soft breach, and they may just omit your profits that you made on those trades. They might let, I don't know what they do with losses. They probably just, keep your loss. So, so something to be aware of. And so you do want to go, if you're going to trade pretty much any of the strategies that we trade, and I think any strategy, period, this is something that a lot of newer traders don't realize that they need. You do need to have a prop firm that allows for news trading. Because I think most people think, well, I don't trade news because I don't get up at NFP and trade news. Well, if you hold a weekly trade, then you're trading news. Like if you're trading an overnight trade, then you might be trading news and not even realize it. So just very important thing to note. And then this is the other downside we talked about is they don't, you have to have you can't have a loss more than 2%. Again, if you're using a lot size calculator and you're being very delicate with how you enter those trades, you should be fine. But this is a rule that is unique to them. I don't see this rule very often with other companies. It's not a deal breaker, but you got to be aware of it. Okay. They also allow weekend and overnight trading holding. Great. So, um, oh, here's some stuff down here, some small print. It says default profit split is 80%. With add-on, it's either 90 or 100%. Okay, so you got to pay for those. Okay. Honestly, I don't pay for add-ons unless I have to have them. I'd probably just go to 80%. That's just me. I don't like to pay for extra stuff. I'd rather just go get another prop trading firm rather than paying for add-ons. It's just I will pay for an add-on if I need it, like news trading. I will pay for that. Add-ons are a new thing. Like it wasn't very common like a year ago. All of a sudden, over the last like 4 or 6 months, prop firms decided, oh, this is a great way to make money. Let's do these add-ons to help the trader think they have more control or something. You know what I mean? But and I think it could be a good thing. At least you know beforehand, you know what you have and what you don't have with your prop firm account. It's kind of nice to be like, okay, this is what I have, this is what I don't have. I agreed to this. You feel like they're being honest with you. Maybe it's a good thing. I think I look at from a sales standpoint, I think they're just trying to sell more stuff. But at the same time, maybe it's just kind of nice to know what you're adding on and what you're not adding on. Just some transparency. I think that's a good thing. Zero commissions only apply to challenge accounts. Okay, so it looks like once you get funded, they're going to add a commission onto and I don't know what that is though. Um, they add commissions. Okay, so this looks good, guys. I will say like they generally look like a good company. I don't know of anybody that's gone with these guys, but they look good. Um, their fees are higher, so I would definitely take advantage of their promotion if you're going to use this company. But yeah, that's cool. Any questions about funding traders or Tiger funded or prop firms in general? Um, I'm going to try to wrap up here in a few minutes just so that we can have a break because we're going to do COT report in about 10 minutes. Um, But yeah, I think this is a good little company. So thanks for, I think Roger suggested this, or at least mentioned this company. So yeah, cool little company to review here. Um, I might give these guys a shot, with a 50 or 100K challenge just to give them a try. All right, guys. Well, I think that's about it. Appreciate each one of you. Thank you for coming. Have a fantastic rest of your evening, and we will see you guys in the next webinar.